journalism, Kinsey Schofield. Kinsey, great to have you back on the show. And Biden, your president, playing roughshod with the American First Amendment and free speech.
I know, Mark, I remember you were very outspoken about this at the time. But now here in the States, a federal court of appeals ruled on Friday that the Biden administration did likely infringe upon the First Amendment when it pressured big tech to remove what they considered false or misleading COVID information. The decision from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals partly upheld an order from a Louisiana federal judge that blocked multiple federal agencies from actually having contact with social media companies like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for content moderation. Now, the judge wrote, it is true that the officials have an interest in engaging with social media companies, including on issues such as misinformation and election interference, but the government is not permitted to advance these interests to the extent that it engages in viewpoint suppression. The White House has responded, saying the DOJ is reviewing the court's decision and will evaluate the options of this case. The Biden administration, they have, I believe it's 10 days to seek a Supreme Court review of this ruling.
Now, listen, that's a shocking story, as is news that a Californian assembly will take into account whether a parent affirms their child's gender identity. Elon Musk has been tweeting about this. Tell me more.
Yeah, so the California State Assembly is the lower house of the California State Legislature, and they just voted in favor of AB 957, which would require adding a question about parents affirming their child's chosen gender to help a judge make a decision about parental custody. Additional criteria involves the amount of a contact a child would have with the parent, the nature of the contact, and the health, welfare, and safety of the child. I mean, obviously, Mark, there is pushback here in the state of California, with opponents believing that this could be weaponized. CBS reporting even going as far as to say that if they don't affirm their child's gender, they could be charged with child abuse. The Senate has already approved it, so it's heading to Gavin Newsom's desk next. That is the governor of California, who we do suspect might slide in and try to replace Joe Biden if he's not capable of running for president.
It could happen. Now, a blast from the past, Kinsey. Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State in the United States, serving President George Bush, she declares the war on terror has been won. Is she right?
Is she right? I mean, honestly, Mark, I would say, yeah, that's right. I mean, the story here is that Andrew Neil ran into her. He wrote an article for the Daily Mail and said that when she was asked if we had won the war on terror, she replied that broadly we had, at least when it comes to Islamic terrorism against the West. But I do agree with her, because I feel like, similar to your panel was saying tonight, we're at war with each other here in the States. It's the Democrats versus the Republicans. It's tearing each other down, not really getting anything done for Americans, because they're at each other's throats. So when I read that, I thought, I think for the most part, she's probably right.
Okay, well, look, it's good news, isn't it? And we need a bit of that. Have you ever had fish and chips here in the UK?
I have. It's my favorite thing. And my second favorite thing is that every sign outside of a pub says the world's best fish and chips. They all say that. Not everybody takes credit for it. And you know what? Every time I leave the restaurant, I'm like, those might just be the world's best fish and chips.
However, I understand that your fellow Americans are a bit confused by fish and chips.
That's right. These are some reviews from, I believe it's Travelocity, or one of those travel sites, that the Americans complaining about the texture of the chips, refusing to call them chips, wanting to call them fries. I can't take up for them, Mark. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of my people.
Well, listen, if you are anything to go by, America remains the greatest country in the world. Kinsey, thank you so much for juggling to be with us tonight. It's a thrill to have you on, as always, and I can't wait to see you in a week's time.
Thank you.